remember Dustin almost lighting the whole neighborhood on fire.
What was that inflection point when you realized that, like, oh, this doesn't have to be just a hobby anymore?
I remember it quite vividly, actually. So I think Jad had his channel and he was casually uploading, and like very casually. I think DJ might have even had his. I was the last of the original 5 members of Team Alboe to make a channel, and I remember Charlie had started to have some success. I think he was maybe at like 100K or 200K or something like that, and Dave was maybe 100,000 ahead of him at the time or something like that. And I remember we went to film a Team Alboe Christmas Secret Santa Christmas video at the Dollarama in the South Keys Plaza, and one person would go in with the camera and vlog themselves picking out some weird items, and the rest of us were just hanging out outside. And I remember Charlie telling me he'd made like, I don't remember if it was 4 or 5 figures that month, or was going to make 4 or 5 figures that month. And we all were like, what? Like, are you kidding me? We thought like maybe they make a few $100, maybe even like $1,000 or something. But like, this was like real full-time job money. And we were just like mind blown that was actually a possibility. And that's when I think a lot of us were like, oh, okay, this is a career. This isn't just a hobby. And yeah, then the rest was history.
And so had you started, because you said you were in some of the videos before that, and like I also use as a benchmark when videos are made, depending on if Dustin is referred to as just Dustin or D Willie. I
forgot we used to call him that.
So like, when did you make your channel? Was it before or after that point?
I think it was after that. I don't know for sure, but I think it would have been either I had just made my channel or I made it like soon after. I can't even remember when my first upload was, to be honest.
I went back. Do you want to know what it was?
Sure, yeah.
It was the condom challenge.
I know what it was. Yeah, I just don't remember when it was. But yeah, it was with Jad in my parents' bathroom, dropping condoms on our heads. My parents were obviously pretty cool with me doing weird shit.
November 27th, 2015 was the date on that video.
So I probably had just started uploading then. If we did the Christmas Secret Santa, that was probably in December. So I had just made my first couple videos when I found that out, would be my guess.
And like for your channel specifically, because like people had already started to recognize you, your channel was able to grow pretty quickly in the beginning, right? Like I think you hit 20K in under 2 months or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So because one, I was the last of Team Alboe to make a channel, and I had actually been the first to make appearances on Dave's channel. People had been calling for me to make a YouTube channel for years. So when I finally did, and Dave said, go check me out, like I think like 10% of his audience came over and subbed right away. So I'm pretty sure I hit 5K in the first day. And that was, at the time, was insane. Like that was a wild, I remember Dave was a little jealous. He was like, man, it took me so much longer to get to this. But then by the time we continued to grow, like I think Dustin hit 100K in his first day or second day, because as the audiences grew, the power to kind of send them to a new channel also grew.
Yeah. And so like, I'm curious with that, even though like, obviously like you got the push from Dave and everyone, like when your videos start to do really well, is that a trip for you? Like, I think your first video to hit 1 million, I wrote it down here, was the intense Think Fast challenge with Team Alboe, which was shortly after you started your channel. You're already hitting over 1 million. Like, is that weird when that's happening?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was also like a outlier for sure, where like, cause I uploaded a few videos and then it would probably get between like 5 and 10K views. And then I vlogged my trip to Thailand with my girlfriend, and I had a couple that did pretty good. And then I came back and did I think that was my first Alboe video or second Alboe video, where it was like, I'm literally just doing the exact same style that Dave kind of blew up Alboe on, is us just hanging out and making videos in the basement. And yeah, I remember it just didn't stop. Like it just kept getting views and kept getting views, and it was like, holy shit, I just got to do this and I'm going to get 1 million views. Like this is so easy. Like I remember like looking back at old YouTube, it's very fond memories of, 5 guys sitting in a basement eating donuts and getting millions of views. Like that wouldn't really fly anymore, but they were much simpler times on YouTube.
And so for anyone that, I guess I probably should have asked you this question earlier, but for anyone that doesn't know Team Alboe, like what does Alboe stand for and who are those original five guys?
So Team Albo stands for a little bit of everything, and the original five guys is David, Charlie, DJ, Jad, and myself. And we were friends. We were all friends in high school. A bunch of us went to St. Pat's High, and Jad went to Hillcrest, and we kind of met him through mutual friends. And we just hung out a lot, and all had a bit of an interest in YouTube. And Dave was the one who had kind of the YouTube, like a successful YouTube channel at the time. And so he would just grab his friends to be in videos. And we did that over and over. And eventually it just kind of grew to something way bigger than any of us expected. And we had to name it. So we looked around and realized every one of us was from a different race. And we decided to go with a little bit of everything. Like where we grew up was very diverse culturally. And I think that was a big thing that was like, that helped us when we first started, was like, no matter who you are or where you were from, like there was a guy in our group that you could relate to. And I think that had a lot to do with our success starting out.
Yeah. And so then like were collaboration channels like popular back in the day? Like obviously it wasn't a channel, it was like 5 different channels, but like did you see that happening a lot back in 2015 or so? Like I guess I was a little bit before Team 10. So like was collabs like that a normal thing at the time?
No, there wasn't it wasn't definitely nowhere near as normal as it is now. Like people would collab, but it would be like, oh, you know, BF versus GF do a collab with like Shay Carl or something like that. Or like, you know, it's like they just do a video together and then they go about and continue uploading on their own. Whereas ours were, like you said, really like 5 channels that all work together on every video. Like nobody did videos on their own for those first few years. Even now, it's rare that you'll see someone do a video on their own. So yeah, there wasn't too many. It was before Team 10. I think there was like O2L was a big group. There might have been one other one. I think FaZe Clan was around then, actually. Yeah, FaZe Clan were the first ones that really moved into a house together. And they inspired us to do that for sure. And then, yeah, Team 10 came after, and the Cloud House came after. And, you know, now everybody's moving into houses and making content together and stuff. But we were like pretty early.
And so, and especially when you contrast the first Team Albo house versus like the first Hype house, very different, right? Like you guys were in like a townhouse in the Maribel area, weren't you?
No, we were still in South Keys. We were right by Greenboro Community Center. Yeah, we were in like a university housing, like borderline trap house for our first spot with like 4 people living in a 3-bedroom. And yeah, so it was not a nice spot, but it's some of my best memories for sure. Like that was a lot of fun.
That's like when you say like some of your favorite memories, is there any specific ones that stick out? Like I'm sure maybe they're tied to videos, but like what are some of those favorite moments from that first house?
Definitely tied to videos. I mean, I remember Dustin almost lighting the whole neighborhood on fire because he did. There was like probably like 6 months to a year where Dustin and I filmed a lot together, and he did 1,000 sparklers in the backyard of this townhome there's like a big tree, a small backyard, a big tree, and we thought it would go up like 6 feet and then come back down. I'm telling you, this thing shot up like 20 feet in the air, and it was right under a tree. And if it had lasted longer than, like, it was 3 seconds, it was up and then back down, I think we might have lit the whole neighborhood on fire. And then I was doing some science experiments where we had like the firefighters showed up because I was trying to make a fire snake in the living room, and then doing all kinds of different like little pranks on Ryan. I used to prank Ryan's room every time he would leave. And I remember I put a hobby farm in his bedroom. That one was good. And what else? Yeah, like just editing. I remember just even simple things like the first time we did Pokemon card videos, opening Pokemon cards in the basement in this like little futon area. And And then we'd set up like a little mini office in the basement, but I was the only one who used it. But I remember editing my first, what I would say was like my first big video that took off, which was the axe throwing challenge. And I put a ton of effort into it, made it like a part 1 and a part 2, and that video I think was at 5 million views. I might have had to take it down because it had a sketchy thumbnail at the time or now, but yeah, I like vividly remember editing that and getting the guys to come down and watch it because I was so proud of like this masterpiece that I'd made. And yeah, that's what kind of pops to mind now. I remember this is a kind of an extreme story, but it's a bad story that turned into a good one. But I had uploaded like a really popular series that I started was 100 roll up the rim to win cups. And I did 100, like just kind of like an idea that popped in my head. I did it with Bongo. It did really well. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to how do I do more than this? So I did 1,000. And at the time, like I said, we were used to sitting on a couch and getting 1 million views. Like putting that much, I had to put like $2,500 down to get all those cups. Like that was a lot of money. This was pre Mr. Beast dropping, $1 million on every video. So I was a little stressed about it, but I figured I could at least break even depending on how it went. And so anyways, I edit the whole video, I upload it, and then I'm reading the comments, and they're going like, what's wrong with the audio? What's wrong with the audio? I can't hear this, like whatever. So I go through and I watch it, and basically my entire second layer of audio was gone. So you could only hear my voice, but whenever I put music, sound effects, anything like that, it was all gone. And it was just like a error with Premiere Pro when I exported it. So, and this video, I'd uploaded it, and in the first 30 minutes, it was getting 2,000 views a minute, which was like triple anything I'd ever seen. It was insane. So it was going to get like 120 or more thousand views in the first hour. And I had to take it down and re-export it. And so I was furious. And we had this little mini trampoline in the basement that we used to use for trampoline trick shot basketball videos. And I threw it through the wall and then went and finished my export and drove to Charlie's house because he had gigabyte upload, and then got it up an hour later. And it still did well, but it didn't quite touch that 2K. But everyone brings up whenever I get pissed, they bring up the trampoline Sean story.
Did you take for granted those early days in the basement?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean,